welcome to Broken Bushcraft. Today we're going to be making a spoon. Simple spoon, not elegant, not fancy, just simple. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share, and let's kick this off. Before we carve our spoon, or our fork, or our spatula, we're going to want to have a couple different things. The first thing we're going to have is our medium, and this is just going to be what we carve. Next thing is a sharp knife. Now, the smaller the better. Knives that are really wide or really long are really hard to finesse with. So a really sharp knife, smaller the better. And if you have it, it's nice to have a hook knife. And this is just nice for carving out the bowl of the spoon or even carving out the bowl of a bowl. Once you have those three things, we're ready to get started. Once you have your medium batoned in half, it's about the size of a spoon, right about there. This way you don't have to whittle so much down. Try to find something that's a similar size to the instrument you want to make, whether it be a spatula, a spoon, or fork, or knife, whatever. So what I'm going to do here is, this is all rough in here. I'm going to start smoothing this out, and I'm going to start taking this bark off. So that way I can start shaping my spoon. So this has some deficiencies on the bark. However, when you get underneath the bark, it's smooth. Plus, whatever is out here, you can smooth out anyways. This is just taking the rough shape of it. So just get all this bark off of here. Don't worry about how deep you go. Okay, so I got my carving surface. I got to figure my spoon's probably going to be about that big. So this is kind of my guide. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking off some of these ridges up here. So I'm going to smooth this out. And this can be using your safety cut to pull real hard to haul off a lot of that, like such. Or you take your time with it and just carve a little bit at a time. It's up to you. This is something that I usually do when I'm sitting around the fire. So I'm not in any rush. So just take your time with it. Once I get this smoothed out, I'll come back. Got some work to do. Now that I've gotten this smoothed out, I'm going to start taking off the front here. I'm going to start rounding out this. And by doing that, just take your knife, cut those corners off, and then take your knife and carve up. Just a little bit at a time. So when you cut, you're going to leave like a little ridge right next to it. Then go for that one next. And just keep angling this up so that you're going to start rounding this out. So I'm going to round this out and round these two out. So all it is just taking those corners off, keeping that picture in your mind of what you want to make, and just going slow. So now I've rounded this out. Now what I'm going to do is, I know my handle is going to come back to about here and give me that eating surface there. So I'm going to cut a groove in here and one matching on the other side. And then what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start peeling into that groove until I can get this piece gone. Something else you can do is you could baton this in half. That's fine too. Like I said, no rush. So I'm going to just carve this down, and I'm going to come back. When I come back, I'm going to have the basic shape of my spoon. Remember, this is a basic spoon. We're not going too intricate with it. So now we have our basic shape. This is the butt end. This is the eating side. And it's starting to rain. So now we're just going to carve our shape to make it kind of come from almost like a teardrop. Think of that. So just start taking off as much as you can. Once you get your basic teardrop shape, so leave yourself about a thumb's width or a thumb's length on the bottom for the bowl for the spoon, and the rest, well, 1,000 tiny cuts. So this is my basic shape, kind of like a teardrop. Now I'll start cleaning it up. Now this is when you're going to kind of back off with the knife skills and be just a little bit more finesse. Especially here, I'm just going to curve it in and just go to the next ridge. Next ridge, next ridge, and now you're just kind of feathering it off. There shouldn't be none of those cuts anymore. Now it's just nice and easy. Just kind of seeing what's going on and feeling it as it goes in your hand. And just rotate it and cut, rotate it and cut. What we're going to do is we're going to angle this in, so you just cut, twist. You could just twist like this and work your way up. But there shouldn't be any more of these big cuts where you're taking it all off. Once I get this shape done, then we're ready to move into the bowl. So let's cut. I'm going to curve this up, thin this out a little bit, and then we're ready to go. So there's my basic spoon. Now I'm going to break out my curved knife, or my hook knife, to start carving the bowl. Now, if you don't have a hook knife, then all you're simply going to do is choke up on your regular blade and just start cutting across. Come across the grains. Another way to do this is you score it. You score it down, and then you can pick those out. Just watch your knife, watch your hand. Obviously I must have my gloves right now. But now if I am going to cut it like this, then obviously you see my thumb is below the knife. So just start carving it out, just like such. I'm going to use my hook knife. Now the hook knife, same thing, you're going to go across the grain, just like you're scooping out mashed potatoes or scooping out ice cream. This is the left-handed one. So you get in here, and you just scoop it out. Coming across the grain, so you're tearing it. If you start going with the grain, you're going to hook into something, and then maybe rip all the way down. So you're just going small cuts across the grain, making that bowl. Now be careful how thick you make your bowl, because you could cut into the bottom. So keep checking it periodically. So I'm going to carve this out, and then we should be good to go. There's our finished product. Now it's nothing fancy. I said basic spoon. It has its bowl, has the handle, and it's ready to go. Now what you can do after this is you can run it over the fire, let it sit next to it and dry out a little bit. Take a stone, sand it down with a stone. That's what our ancestors did. If you want to take it home and touch it up with some more sandpaper, or put a coat of boiled linseed oil on here, and it'll stay so it won't crack. This took, I think, from start to finish about 30 minutes. It's one of my favorite fireside activities. Something you can't do is you can't rush the wood. If you're trying to carve this bowl out but there's a knot here you didn't see, you just start over. It's just something to kill past time and give you something to use. If you break it up here at the handle, guess what? You have a great toggle. So if you carved a spoon, then let me see it in the comments below, or post it to my Instagram or Facebook. And if not, then I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you in the woods.